So you're Mike Binder, right? You're the one
That's
who
right.
ran for representative up there in Rhode Island, didn't you?
I did, and I ran for the U.S. House of Congress once with the campaign platform more liberal than a Kennedy.
Oh.
So,
Well, I have a feeling Rhode Island isn't more liberal than a Kennedy.
no, it wasn't then. It probably still isn't now. But you try to find those ways that you can make a difference in the world,
I
and that was
understand. That's what it's about. I mean, but really, you're a storyteller, playwright, or what?
well. I started off years and years ago writing plays. I've written a lot of books and stories, and about a dozen years ago, I uh, started going to a storytelling group, and they were all telling stories to each other, and I didn't know what the heck storytelling was. So I was working on a novel. I was writing a serialized novel, one episode a week, and this group met on Tuesdays. And what I would do is I'd write an episode on Monday, I'd read it to somebody on Tuesday, I'd rewrite it, and then it would eventually go to the publisher. And this group met on Tuesdays, so I would bring in whatever story I was working on that week. And after a couple months of reading them the stories, they were, well, your stories are very nice, but why don't you try telling a story instead of reading one? I was like,
Oh,
what's the difference,
yeah, right.
But I tried it, and I found out that there's a real big difference between reading a story to somebody and telling a story to an audience. And it turned out that all of my years of study, I went to Columbia undergraduate and I went to the Trinity Rep Conservatory. If you put all of my years of study, I actually have a PhD in storytelling.
Oh.
Not absolutely.
That's what my math teacher told me.
Well, you got to make stuff up, and so I started telling stories professionally, and I've really enjoyed it. But I missed writing. I've missed,
Ah.
and sometimes I'll tell stories and I'll write them down. Sometimes I won't write them down, and sometimes I'll write a story and then I'll tell it. The project that I'm working on currently is called Cinderella Spinderella, and it
And this is
started.
what got you to Kickstarter, Cinderella?
It's exactly what got me to Kickstarter. I had been telling the story for about 6 years.
Uh-huh.
I had been invited to tell stories to a group of handicapped kids in
Uh-huh.
wheelchairs out in Newport. And the same summer, I was up in the inner cities in Boston telling stories to kids in Dorchester and Roxbury and Jamaica Plain. And I was looking for a common story that I could tell both groups, something that everybody would enjoy. And I started off with Little Red Riding Chair, which
Little
her
Red
chair.
Riding Chair?
It was, you take a
Is
common
this Red Riding Hood in a
in
wheelchair?
a wheelchair. Well,
Cool.
because there aren't any stories for
Yeah.
kids in wheelchairs,
Yeah.
and I figure you take a common story and you try to think of it that way, and it didn't work real well. I tried Jack in the Bean Chair.
How'd
Almost
you get up there?
exactly. That was the challenge. I came up with. When you're telling stories, you can get away with a lot. I came up with
I,
this complex ratchet and hoisting device
I,
that he used to get up and down
Jack
the
was an
beanstalk.
engineer,
Did
huh?
But Cinderella
That's interesting.
turns out that it works perfectly
Yeah.
because in my version, as the fairy godmother says, you can't dance in glass slippers, but my goodness, a girl in a wheelchair, you can rock those shoes. So
Voices too.
absolutely. Well, that's storytelling is all about communicating between people. And so when you have a common story, something that they've heard before, so their guard goes down, and they're like, all right, we know this. And especially if you're telling stories to urban kids, they're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
you're
Yeah,
you're this old white guy. You're going to tell me a story? Come on, yeah, give it to me. And so I start telling the story, and and after about 2 minutes they ease into it, and about 5 minutes they're like, yeah, what happens next? What happens
okay.
next? So I wanted to write the story, and I wrote it down.
So
But
this
there's
is what Kickstarter is, like to take your story that you
no, no,
told.
no, no, no. Kickstarter. So let's talk about Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So for your audience, Kickstarter is what's called crowdsourced fundraising.
Right.
You create a project. It can be a book like this. This is going to be an ebook, an
Mm-hmm.
illustrated ebook. You can create. Some people do performances. They raise money for their dances. There have been companies that have raised money for some reason on Kickstarter. There are a lot of people raising money for new kinds of wallets.
Well,
Little wallets like the same size as your cell phone. That kind of thing. Um, so any kind of project they're funding, it's a way. It's basically trying to take venture capital, the idea of venture capital, and put it to use for ordinary people. So you don't have to have a corporation or a 501c3 or an S corp or an LLC. You just have to be a person with a good idea and a commitment to making it happen.
Well, I mean, you're one of the few that really got it funded through good. A lot of people try Kickstarter and don't make it. Yeah.
I can tell you why. It is not easy. If you go to the Kickstarter website, you can see the video that we made. It took about 2 weeks full time to make the video.
So you really should concentrate on that. I mean, if you're going to do something.
According to Kickstarter, something like only 30% of projects without videos have any chance of getting funded. I mean, I don't. They had numbers on this stuff, but the video really helps sell the project. People like videos. You know, I mean, it annoys me. You know, I'm a writer and a story. The last thing I want to do is spend my time making a video to sell an eBook. It seems weird, but okay.
Well, I'm out of the reference book business, and now I'm doing videos.
Exactly. So the video took a long time, and then once the project goes live, there's several different other ones out there. There's another one called Indiegogo, which has a slightly different take on the same thing. Kickstarter, you set how long your project, your fundraising project is going to be, and the clock starts ticking.
So you could say 6 weeks or 6 months?
I think they set a limit of about 3 months is the max. Their recommendation is they say that projects that are a month or less have a better chance of getting funded. So I decided I was going to do, I think I did 3 weeks. It was either 3 or 4 weeks. And
why the 5?
It's more fun than $5,000. It just seemed like more fun. To be honest, now so let's talk a little bit honestly about the Kickstarter process. So I really wanted 20,000.
I see. Okay.
And I set 5,000 because I thought that was a low enough goal that we could make it and then go beyond. I was wrong. 5,000 was a real stretch. So one of the things that happens is it's a reality check. I have what I thought was a fan base of about 4,000 people. Turns out they're not all fans.
So I got relatives like that.
Well, in other words, people who aren't friends, who aren't relatives, people who have been following my work, I thought that there were more people who were actually actively involved, and the answer is they're not. So from a reality check, it was a really useful thing.
It's a market study. It costs you nothing.
It was, in a way, and the bad news is I have like 10 fans. The good news is that means that I'm starting from zero, and I can go.
Instead of paying somebody 10 grand to find that out, you made 5 grand finding it out.
Exactly. And I also learned a lot about how to use social media and the email. I was worried about spamming my friends and spamming my fan list this thing, because people get the email and they go, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'll make a contribution.
Yeah, maybe later.
Right. And then a week goes by and you send another, hey, we're doing good. Can you send out that contribution now? And another week goes by. Hey, listen, we really need. And then the reason the Kickstarter has the deadline is because as the deadline approaches. With Kickstarter, if you don't make your deadline, you get nothing.
Right.
If you make your goal by your deadline, you get nothing. So, I spent 2 weeks on this and 3 weeks on this, and we're getting closer and closer. I'm like, well, we're only at like $3,500. And so then you really start working.
Sounds like NPR here.
I have a lot more compassion for those guys. I really understand. In fact, I talked with the local manager of the station. He's like, yeah, after a few years, you get used to it. I was like, oh. So the last week, I said to heck with it. If they don't want to talk to me, if they don't care about me, I'm just going to send out this email. And it did work. I mean, I sent out
Well,
emails.
I used to do home shopping. We had that clock, man, and you should see. I mean, the last couple seconds, everybody floods in without that clock. Oh, Lesko's going with me. I'll stay here all day. No, he's going in 5 seconds. I'll stay here all day.
It's really it's a strange way that it works.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, will you do it again? You think, or what?
I don't know. I have a new. I work very closely with the publishing company. I'm a co-founder of it. There's a fellow who brought me a project. It may sound boring, but it's actually amazing. He wrote a book that explains how the banking system works. Really? Like you can actually, you have to want to know it. But it's a really, really good explanation. And we're going to be publishing this book. And I was thinking that, I might be able to run it with him so that it's less of a personal investment.
I see. Is this a kid's book or a grown-up book?
It's a kid's book. It's an illustrated book for kids. All of my work as a storyteller, almost all my work as a storyteller, is multi-generational. Mm-hmm. So when I tell the story, it's really meant to entertain and engage the adults as well.
Right. That's what I see Disney does. I mean, he sucks the adults in, right?
Exactly.
With a little soft porn here or something going on.
No, I don't go that far, but anyway, so this story it's meant to be shared. So kindergartners and preschoolers, it's meant to be read by the parents. First graders, second graders, it's meant for them to sort of read with their parents.
I mean, is it an explanation, or is it the big bad banker comes and takes your house?
Wait. Oh, so we're talking about the banking book.
Yes. Oh, that's what I meant to mean.
I was talking about my Cinderella project.
Oh, Cinderella book. Oh, I thought you said it was
the banking book is not for kids. No.
Oh, okay. It's not for kids. Okay, good. Okay, I got that out of my head. But Cinderella, now the eBook will be out soon then. What you finance, and that'll be out?
eBook is actually, no. This is a full production. So the eBook is going to be released in September. We're raising money now to fund. So let me show you some. So this is the cover.
Oh, nice. Is this your work? Are you?
No, I'm not. I can't draw my way out of it.
Well, what's in behind you? It looks like all these sketches behind.
That's the sketches for the whole book so far. And one of the things that makes this ebook different is there's 4 different versions of Cinderella. We're calling them Autumn.
I saw that. Are they different characters completely, or no?
Same character, different ethnic type. So there's a black,
little
white,
Sybil stuff going on here.
What's that?
Sybil, kind of multiple personalities.
No. One story. The idea is this. I was telling this story, and when I tell the story, I've always thought of Cinderella as black, but I never have explained it.
Really?
So because I'm telling the story in the inner cities to black and Hispanic kids, and I'm telling the story. So I've got this image in my head, but I don't say it. And so when I tell the story in a suburban neighborhood, I don't say it, and I let them picture what they want. But when we started to do the illustrations, it's like, what color is Cinderella?
See, yeah.
So with ebook, in a print book, you got to pick.
Yeah.
Because you're printing this stuff.
Right.
But in ebook, we can do different things. So this is we have winter, summer, and autumn here. I don't have the spring one. So you can see this is a back shot of the Cinderella. So you've got 4 different ethnic types.
So so there'll be 4 different versions of the book?
In the same.
Yeah.
You only buy one.
Right.
You can choose which one you read.
Oh, I could force you to buy 4, though, right?
If you can, that's what I need to learn from you.
So is there a website for this that we could promote?
Sure. If you go to Light Publications, LIGHT publications.com, it's on that website. It's also on markbinder.com.
Okay, so markbinder.com is a good place to find
Mark Binder, or storyamonth.com.
Cinderella, or even the banking book.
The banking book is going to be at the Light Publication. I've got.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I mean, you have so much energy, and it's wonderful that you're sharing that and not locked up in some little cubicle somewhere, doing an analysis of. Wall Street data or whatever the heck most of the people do now. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being there, Mark, and
Welcome.
make
It's a
sure that
pleasure talking to you.
people know about this. I figure, God, so now you got now the 4 Cinderellas. They're all different ethnics, huh?
Yep. The way we're phrasing it, there's autumn, winter, spring, and summer.
Ah, okay. It's hard to be
And
correct.
one thing that we're going to do with it also, and we didn't quite make this goal, but we're going to be doing a little more fundraising to do a Spanish translation.
Ah,
There will be a Spanish edition of it in the same ebook. I really like the idea that, for example, if a school buys this, they'll be able to use the
yeah,
same piece for
right,
the whole school.
right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Mark, and I'm sure we'll be seeing the Chinese version of Cinderella soon.
I was thinking that we need to have an Eskimo version. There's the Aleutian Islands. There's all sorts of possibilities.
Great, thanks.